Playground!
Hooray!
Hey! It's my song! Let's sing it! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Come on! It's gonna be fucking awesome! You know the words! It's gonna be fucking awesome! That's it! Sing! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Yeah!
Oh my God, let's do this shit! Hey, it's Jesse Blaze Snider, the Coolest Geek Alive. How you doing? I'm doing... I don't know if you've been paying attention. I had a rough week last week, and kind of back on track with my working out. I've been talking about this, that I've been working out, and oddly, I kept feeling like I was supposed to talk about this on the Coolest Geek Alive, because the training method that I discovered is this dude, Mike Mentzer, and he's not a geek like he reads comic books and he likes fantasy films. He's a geek in that he has taken a very analytical, practical, rational approach to bodybuilding. And when I started, I got kind of turned on to him on YouTube. Somebody suggested some video or whatever, and I watched a video. And you guys got to understand, I've been training and an athlete my entire life. I really like athletics. I know that doesn't necessarily come to your average geek in a huge way. I always like to be a real conundrum. I like to be different than people would expect me to be, for one. And also, one of the reasons why I love geek culture characters and whatnot that you see in whether it's comic books or films or fantasy, is because I'm an idealist. I believe in idealism. I believe in being as intelligent as you can be, being as powerful as you can be, reaching for the stars, doing incredible things. I believe people are capable of incredible feats, and I love that, and I admire that, and I respect that, and a part of me has always wanted to look like He-Man, look like Superman. There's a part of me, and I know I'm not the only one, and I mean, this is why I'm talking to you guys, because the part of us that sees Batman and goes, look at this, he's just a regular guy. And this regular guy has figured out the most important things to study physically and mentally to bring himself to this next level place where he is this idyllic representation of what a man can be. Not only is he superficially beautiful, he's got the Olympian Greek sculpted body, and he's got the intellect of the detective, and he can go and he can, figure out things that other people can't figure out, but he's morally good. He's standing up for what's right. He's dedicating his life to something meaningful and worthwhile. Just saying that out loud and thinking about that and getting down to the roots of why these things are so important and so awesome. It's what they represent. They represent this idyllic world that I've always believed we could live in. But, I've really struggled my whole life as an athlete to get what I wanted out of athletics and to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. And I'll tell you my personal story, because I'm sure that everybody out there has, a personal story of some kind. But I'm going to tell you, whatever your personal story is, I really believe Mike Mentzer and his approach to bodybuilding will change your life. It will change your entire mindset. I discovered him months ago, and it just overnight, my mind changed. And I went from feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know if I have time, and I don't know what I'm doing, and to, I know what I'm doing, I know that I can do this, I know that I have enough time, I know that I'm capable. That's what Mike Mentzer's approach made me feel. It made me feel this isn't a question, this isn't a, no hemming and hawing, this is practical approach to bodybuilding. You want to grow, There may be some genetic differences between you and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but everybody is capable of growth in their muscles through his program. If you are somebody who's always wanted to sculpt yourself into something better and you just kind of felt like, I don't know if I have it in me, or whatever it might be, whatever it was that you were thinking, I don't know if I'm that guy, I don't know if I'm that type, Mike Mentzer will change your mind about everything. Like for me, from my heart, it's like, I feel like I wrote this book. I feel like this, if I was a bodybuilder, this would be how I was thinking about it. This would be what mattered to me. This would be the practical shit that I was looking for to prove to me what actually fucking works and what is just bullshit. And so much of the fucking world is just faking it. We live in this freaking age of everybody's working out this, that. Everybody's got their secret little whatever. I am Jesse Blaze Snider. I'm making no money on this. I have no fucking skin in the game here. This is me as an intellectual going, oh my God, I finally was fucking confronted with an intellectual approach to bodybuilding that blew my mind because it was so fucking right on the money. It was so clear and present and obvious that everybody is doing the fucking ridiculous thing that human beings do. Too much. They're all doing too much. And this intelligent man was brave enough to go, I think actually the answer is to do a bit less. I think actually all of these overzealous bodybuilders are overtraining themselves and preventing themselves from actually making consistent gains over time and achieving the bodies that they would really like to have. And when, like I said, when you dig into this as a thinking man, as a comic book geek, as a fantasy geek, as a sci-fi geek, if you're a geek, it means you like to think. You like to think about things. You like things to make sense. You like to be able to create a world based on information that is congruent with each other. Okay, I understand how this works. I understand the shape of this world because this and this and this and how these things affect each other. Well, that is what you get here with Mike and in his book and in every word he says. And I love reading his book. I read his book in a weekend. I downloaded it for free. I got a PDF for free. I did a search on the internet and I found it. His book, the first one anyway, is called Mike Mentzer's Heavy Duty. And I'm going to get into like all this stuff and talk about all these things, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of like personal anecdotes so you can kind of understand the place that I'm coming from in a couple different ways, especially just for people out there who have been frustrated themselves before with attempts to be more athletic and bite get a bigger bite of that sandwich for themselves and their physicality and whatnot. There's a lot of different ways that things can go wrong for you. In my case, I was I got hit by a car when I was 11, something like that, and I did not properly heal or address any of these injuries. I had a bone out in my foot from getting hit by the car that literally was not repaired until I was 30 something. So my whole life I was leaning on my right leg, which is, it's crazy because I'm like, my one claim to fame, I'm not the biggest guy in the world or the strongest guy in the world compared to so many people. I played football because my dad was a really big guy and he kind of used to intimidate me. His parenting strategy was to kind of scare me into submission. And so it really created like this fear in me. Like I was nervous that I was like a pussy. I was nervous that I was scared to defend myself because like I was scared of him. And I didn't want to feel like I was afraid. So, I went and I played football and I played a lot of contact sports in the name of, feeling better about myself and feeling powerful despite feeling like I was small. My dad's 6 foot something. I'm, 5, whatever. I'm not that short. I'm like 5'9" or whatever, 5'10". But sports for me, was very much about me trying to find my inner strength. And get to that place that was right for me. And I'm very fast. And it's strange because I've had not sciatic nerve. What do you call it? Scoliosis. I've been developing scoliosis over time. And now I've been walking it back for the past decade. At 30, I woke up in chronic pain all the time, every day of my life at 30. And to this day, I tend to be struggling with a certain amount of discomfort and pain in my body almost every day. I mean, pretty much. But, you know, it's nothing like it was before. It was so intense. It was so terrible. I barely even think about it now. Even though if I go on my body, I'll go, oh yeah, this hurts and this hurts and this hurts. So just so you understand, I'm somebody who's lived with and dealt with injuries for forever. And I wasn't even really aware of what these injuries were, to be perfectly honest. For many years, as a football player and a lacrosse player and all these things, I was in the gym. I was in the gym all the time, you know, trying to bulk up and doing different workouts and different things. At different times in my life when I was doing a little bit better, you know, financially, I tried to get help. You know, I enlist a trainer, get somebody to help guide me a little bit. And it's interesting because a lot of what Mike Mentzer talks about here in the heavy duty training, most trainers have taken his advice, but they have not taken all of his advice. They've only taken some of his advice. And you don't take some of Mike Mentzer's advice. You take it all, or you don't fucking just do something else, man. Because he's got it. You can't just come in here and take a couple little bits. And, you know, so many people, you know, like to shit talk and whatever else. Like if you go online and you see people will try to shit talk Mike Mentzer's approach. Nah, baby. Nah. They're idiots. Fucking dunderheaded idiots. This man was Mr. Olympia in 76, I think he won. I pulled up a little thing with I made some notes just so I could like gush about him for a second. Where did I write down all these things? Yeah, he was the winner of Mr. America title, in 1976. Professional bodybuilder competing in prestigious competitions like Mr. Olympia. You know, he pioneered the high-intensity training method, which, like I said, everybody uses the high-intensity training method, which I'll explain what that is and whatnot in a second. But the main bit is he's advocated for shorter, intense workouts with ample recovery time. This is the thing. Shorter, intense, and ample recovery time. These are the things that the dunderheaded jocks don't want to do. Okay? It's all about more, push, harder. But we don't realize that there is a certain breaking point for our body and its ability to come back and return to things. And we can overtrain. Now, for me, I was in a loop because I was injured and I had this scoliosis thing. I had a bone out in my foot where I would go to the gym and like 2-3 months into me working out, I would have a really bad experience at the gym where something like the bone that was out in my foot that I didn't know was out in my foot, I would like step in a weird way or be like holding weight in a weird way, and I would feel like my foot almost broke. And I would be so badly like hurt from the injury and nervous that perhaps like that's weird. How did that happen? Why did that happen? You know, perhaps I've injured myself in some way. Let me take some time off so that I can heal it, right? And, you know, especially as I got older, I kept having this mentality because as a younger guy, I would push through. And then as an older guy, I'm like, man, you know, I got kids, you know, I want to be able to play with my kids, all these things. This is at 30 when my freaking pain broke in and I was in pain every day and I couldn't play with my kids anymore, you know, but as my daughter was growing up and whatever else, and I'd be going to the gym, like I was in the best shape of my life probably when my daughter was like 2 years old. I remember there was a video of me like running around in the rain in front of the house that we had at the time, and I was holding my daughter in my hands and so happy. It was really great to see myself in this video. I'd never seen myself like looking so fit. And I'm sure, not that I remember specifically, but it just was the constant pattern. Eventually, shortly after that, I hurt myself in the gym because I had all these injuries. I had like spine shit going on because of the scoliosis that was developing because I got hit by the car on the left side, and I had a problem with the foot on the left side and some problems with my leg on the left side. So there's a whole bunch of things that were kind of putting me towards disrepair, even though I kept attempting to repair myself. Okay. But at the same time, though, I was training consistently, you know, and I would get back to it and whatever else. And I never felt as though I was able to break through the natural kind of body that I had. Like, I was naturally like reasonably fit, because I'm, I'm kind of skinny. I run hot. My engine runs pretty quick. So so I was like a thinner guy who was trying to bulk up, and in bulking up, all I ever really did was like put on a double chin. Like I would like add some food to my belly, but I wouldn't actually like be putting on a lot of muscle and all these things. And now I know precisely why that was the case. And it's so obvious, having sat with this man's short book that I read in a weekend. I mean, it's like 43 pages, the first Mike Mentzer's Heavy Duty Training. I think there's a follow-up version that has an even less frequent training regiment, and I'm going to tell you about all the training regiments that I know, but I'm going to direct you to a lot of his stuff, because so much of this information you can get on YouTube, and find like videos that people have made. You just want to, it's about Mike. You want to train like Mike Mentzer. There are people, whether it's different, because you can find the different workout schedules and all these different things, but it's about how Mike tells you how to do it. And I'm going to go through some of like the most basic bits of this stuff, but I mean, really, you want to check in with him. You want to go download this book. You want to go watch some of these YouTube videos and see some of the bits that he's doing and whatnot. I can't give you the entire book in this thing, but I'm going to encapsulate the entire book and the basics of this. And I'll tell you this too. So the main thing that really like motivated me to do this here and like come and like talk to you about this and like convinced me beyond like intellectually, I was convinced 4 months ago when I discovered Mike. I was like, yes, this guy's got it, and I'm gonna use his method to fucking change my life. Like like really just super freaking easy. I get it. He is just so unlike, it's very nice. He gives credit to this dude whose name I'm forgetting right now, but I might come across it when I'm going through some of the PDF and just like showing you some of the bits. This guy was the inventor of the Nautilus. And, it almost seems like he's the inventor of the Nautilus. He's promoting the Nautilus. When I saw Mike Mentzer's name alongside this Nautilus guy for ages, I've seen it before, like in the Nautilus thing. And the Nautilus just seemed like an exercise thing that was being, what do you call it? It was being sold to us. It's like, hey, it's a piece of equipment. Like, why can't we just lift a weight? Well, the Nautilus machines, in a lot of the exercises, they do something that isn't possible with free weights. There's a certain point that you get to in a lot of different exercises where, you come up, like let's say you're pulling up, you're doing a bicep curl, right? And you start pulling up. At a certain point in time, the physics of this action changes. When it's hanging down, there's a lot of different strain and pressure that's here on your arms. But as soon as you start to get up beyond that 90-degree angle, it's changing the leverage that you have and the position that you have. And then when you get even higher up, like halfway through that 95 to 45-degree angle, whatever, the weight of this weight is resting on your bone. It's a free weight and it's resting on your bone. However, think about this. If you're pulling at a Nautilus machine where that thing's on this pulley system and the weight is just being pulled out on that line, the weight that's being pulled is completely steady the entire time. It's a steady and consistent workout that it doesn't have any of that, okay, it gets a little easier up top, it gets a little easier on the bottom, or it gets a little bit easier at this moment. The Nautilus creates just constant tension for you to be working out with. And things like this, a lot of pieces of this, of doing the exercises in the way that will get to the fullness of your muscle, that will train the muscle in the fullest way, going slow enough to train the muscle in this right way. There are so many little factors like this that make it not about doing more and did you do that exercise and did you do that exercise and did you do that one and that one and that one and that one, that one. No, you don't need all of those. What you need is the right exercises done very precisely, done the right way. Understand? I think it's pretty simple when you really get down to it. So the thing that I wanted to say was I started this routine three weeks ago now. This is my third week, even though the second week was a complete bust. Okay, I'm doing the routine from Mike Mentzer's first book, Heavy Duty. There is a less frequent one that I'm going to be shifting into over time, but I've been a little stir crazy and I wanted to go to the gym a little bit more. So I decided to go with his first one, which is just a little bit more frequent. It's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You take off the weekend, you come back Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you take off the weekend. And it's 3 days of this high intensity approach to your training. Now, I went my first week and I did my Monday and I did my Wednesday and I did my Friday. Now, when you do in this case, this particular routine of Mentzer's, I'm just pulling up the thing so I can make it a little easier to explain. But day 1, you do pecs and delts and triceps. Day 2, you do lats, traps, erectors, biceps. Day 3, you do legs, you do abs. And, one of the things that's said in the book is like, people ask me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? Well, because that exercise trains this muscle, and this muscle is being trained with this exercise that's right here. These 3 days worth of exercises are meant to hit every single muscle in your body and stimulate as much growth in you as humanly possible. You only do one set. One set of each thing. You're looking to get between 6 and 10 reps. So you're basically talking about not the heaviest thing that you can lift, but the heaviest thing that you can lift with some real power for a minute. Because you're going to be going really slow. I know, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it at the top for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, lower it down. And you are going to take yourself to the limit. If you can do more than the 10, you're trying to get a weight that is perfect so that you're going to end up somewhere between 6 and 10. And you're always adjusting your weight, lowering it or raising it to try to get yourself somewhere between 6 and 10 reps. So if you end up doing more, well, that weight was too light for you. You end up doing less, okay, well, now you got to lighten that weight a little bit next time. But the idea is to try to hit this perfect point of muscle exhaustion. And that your last reps of any of these things are to complete muscle exhaustion. Even to the point of, there's different little things, little methods and whatnot. Say you get to 8 and, but you got a little bit in you but you can't go all the way up, but you can do the bottom and you can just do the bottom just a little bit. You can try to go as slowly as possible for half of a rep until your arms are, So every single one of these exercises ends one set and ends with me or you going, oh my God, oh fuck, I can't do anymore. And you can take a rest and you can come back and do some more, but you have already taken the muscle to exhaustion. So to come back and to do any more would be to just exhaust yourself for no reason and exhaust your body for no reason, to deplete your body's resources and to make it take that much longer for your body to recover from the injury it just sustained, having to go through this traumatic experience of lifting for a minute one of the heaviest bits of weight that you're really capable of lifting. So you don't necessarily come out of the gym with a huge pump or anything. It's not that kind of exercise. It's a kind of exercise that's very fundamental, leaves you very sore in a very deep way. Usually the most powerful parts of my muscles were always kind of not that sore. Like the most powerful part of my bicep wasn't so sore. It's the top of my bicep where my bicep connects at the shoulder. It's the bottom of my bicep where it connects at the elbow, because those essentially are the parts of the muscle that are the weakest, that are the smallest, and they're taking some of the biggest pieces of the strain. In order to get this fat chunk of my bicep really tired, I'd have to work out my arm a lot more. But in reality, what I would be doing is overworking this other part of my bicep that attaches at the elbow and attaches at the shoulder, and I'd be taking myself down, right? So I mean, like, at least this is the theory, okay? And now, the original training method that I was going to do was Mike Mentzer's every 4 days. Every 4 days you train, and it's a 4-day workout program. So there's 4 different exercise days instead of this one that I'm doing that has 3. And it's on the 4th day you work out again. If you need a little bit more time, if you can't get to the gym for some reason, you always stretch an additional day. You never make it closer. You always give yourself more time to heal, more time to rest, not less, right? That's how important the rest is. You're not losing anything to lose an extra day as long as you get back into the gym the day after and continue your rational and progressive, perfect, moving forward approach, right? So his method of 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm like this was the biggest thing, because I said I have such a hard time sometimes of like, it's just so hard to consistently go and do that thing and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I can go to the gym once every 4 days. And then literally, like, as you train and you get like bigger and like you're supposed to be like really becoming like a bodybuilder kind of thing, it switches to every 6 to 7 days. And again, this is a little bit of like muscle confusion thing of just like trying to keep it not quite super consistent, because your body gets used to it. Little things, little changes like that can help your body to go, oh fuck, we gotta build more muscle. It will stimulate your growth, right? So the reason why I tell you this is because I was gonna use the every 4-day method. I was feeling a little stir crazy, so I went with the 3 days a week earlier approach that he had before he really refined his approach, because I recommend more, especially for you guys out there, the 4-day approach, and it's really sensical, and it's been tried and true with so many Mr. Olympians and Mr. whatever's all those fucking contests. He had 200 clients, and many professional bodybuilders who he was working with for ages. He was working with the scientific exercise community, people like the Nautilus people and stuff like that. He was somebody who was interested in the importance of something like, well, how do we keep the tension on the muscle so that we can get the best workout? And that's a really silly, like a crazy thing to think about. Oh, I've never thought about when I pull my bicep up with the weight that at a certain point it gets easier. But not if I have a Nautilus machine, right? If I have a Nautilus machine and I'm pulling up from the thing, the tension never stops. I'm not getting any, I'm not resting on the weight, because the weight isn't in my hand. The weight is coming from the pull. The thing's pulling from the ground, right? So, but it takes somebody thinking about it like that to really be pulling out the information that we need here, right? Okay, so I'm telling you about this 4-day thing because it's not what I did, but it's kind of what I did by accident. I did my 3 days. I went to hang with my kids for the weekend, and they all got sick. We all got the stupid neurovirus, which I don't know if you got the fucking neuro. Oh my God, what a nightmare. It was just like a stomach bug kind of thing. Everybody was throwing up. I don't know how I got away with not throwing up. I was going to the bathroom. It was rough. And I was going to the bathroom so much that it upset my like pelvic wall of like my lower back and stuff, like my lower body, and really kind of fucked me up. And when I went to go record my show last week, I was sitting on the couch and just sort of, I guess, not being strict enough with my posture, and I threw my back out. So I had started meditating every morning, followed by Qigong, followed by yoga. This is like a routine that I wanted to put into my life for years. And I finally started doing it. You don't know how devastated I was when I got sick and I couldn't, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, then threw out my back and I really couldn't do what I wanted to do. And I legit, because like I do this yoga thing called the 5 rights. It's like the Tibetan 5 rights is what the people from the Fountain of Youth used to do. It's a very simple thing that starts with spinning, and it's like all these very central spinal kind of stretches, spine, like central spine yoga kind of stuff. Very, very kind of rudimentary or whatever. But you can't do that shit when your back's out. It's like all me bending my spine over and over again while I've got like a nerve that's So for a whole week, I had to stop everything. For a whole week, after starting a program and being so excited to start my program and like moving forward with my life in this wonderful way and doing this great thing to better myself, all this stuff, I got sick and taken out of it, and I missed my second week of working out. And I said, it's okay. I'm not going to let this break me. There's other times in my life where like maybe I'd get so discouraged and I wouldn't go back to doing what I was doing, but I'm going right back to it. Monday's coming around and I'm right back to my routine. Well, Monday came around and I got right back to my routine and I meditated and I did my qigong and I did my yoga. And then I went to the gym. And when I finished my workout, like I said, it's not like a workout where you get like a really crazy pump or anything. It's like a 45-minute to an hour workout, depending on how long you're taking to do it, just resting in between things or whatever. I went in the bathroom and I took off my shirt to use the shower there. And I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. And guys, I gained weight. I gained at least 5 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks. And one of those weeks, I was sick. I was sick all week. I couldn't do anything but rest. Well, what a coincidence. Mike Mentzer's entire fucking program is about how important rest is. And looking in the mirror, I went, holy shit. Mike Mentzer's a mad genius. How is it possible that I trained 1 week and then was forced to take off for another week and I made gains? This goes against everything I've ever been fucking taught about bodybuilding. You want to know what else goes against everything that I've ever been taught about bodybuilding? How much extra food you need to eat in order to make gains. How much food do you think you need to eat in order to make gains? Do you know how many people are fucking fat because they're trying to be bodybuilders and they're eating a lot so that they can become these big, massive people? But it's not turning into muscle, it's turning into fat. Okay, like I'll just read you a couple pieces here, right? Realistic expectations figure centrally in formulating a nutritional regimen. Once you understand that growth is negligible on a daily basis, even in a best case scenario, you'll be less likely to commit grossly irrational dietary mistakes, okay? Those who expect to gain weight on a very regular basis are gullible prey to the nutritional supplement hucksters. He says earlier in this bit about how, this is some of the math here. I'll read you this. He says, a 10 to 20 pound increase in muscle mass in 1 year is more realistic for most. And because the vast majority gain weight erratically, one should not necessarily expect regular or predictable body weight increases. This may not sound impressive to many, but if a bodybuilder were to sustain a growth rate of 20 pounds per year for 2 years, he would, of course, considering he didn't lose any body fat, end up 40 pounds heavier. Visualize 40 pounds of beef steak laid out in front of you on the dinner table, and you will get some idea just how much muscle that is. Enough to transform the average adult male weighing 165 pounds into a veritable Hercules at 205 pounds. Okay, so having realistic expectations, blah, blah, blah. He said, but even in the best case scenario, you're going to be less likely to commit grossly irrational dietary mistakes if you're thinking about this right. Those who expect to gain weight on a very regular basis are gullible prey, and usually end up with no more muscle, less hard-earned money, and a lot of fat, and even more confusion. So again, this is anti-supplement, anti all this nonsense. What do I really need to eat in order to gain, Mike? Let's assume hypothetically for the sake of this discussion that you have the required genetics and you will train properly in the course of the next 2 years so you gain 10 pounds of muscle mass. That average out to approximately 12 grams of muscle per day, or less than 1/2 of an ounce. Precisely how much food would you require to provide the nutritional elements needed for that much growth? It's actually quite simple to calculate. Since 1 pound of muscle tissue yields about 600 calories and you're going to gain 10 pounds of muscle, you'd have to consume 600 times 10, or 6,000 calories a year above your maintenance level. That's right, 6,000 extra calories a year. 6,000 a year, my friends. You could eat 6,000 calories in a minute. 6,000 calories a year is all you need to increase to grow muscle. You don't need to eat any more than that. Not a day, a week, or a month, as many of the hucksters would have you believe, but 6,000 extra calories a year. Formulating a daily dietary regimen is difficult to do based on yearly caloric considerations. To find out how many calories you need each day beyond maintenance, divide 6,000 by 365, and you come up with about 16 extra calories per day. That's like 3 fucking almonds, or as Mike says in his book, 2 bites of an apple. 2 bites of an apple more than you usually have will lead to increases in muscle if you are working out properly. Whoa, mind blown. Dude, I don't have an appetite. You know, when I would see freaking my brother-in-law, Danny, who's huge, and, you know, he's just, his genetics, he's 6 foot something, and he used to be a scrawny kid in school. Always impressed the hell out of me. He was on my football team. My brother-in-law for many years. He and I are still very good friends. And he's huge, you know. And Danny is like the human vacuum cleaner, the human garbage disposal. Like, it's his whole thing. Wherever there's food, I'll eat it. There's food left over. You eating that? I'll eat that. You eat that? You can eat that? Hey, you need that? You know, like, that's Danny. And watching Danny be like that over the years, it kind of convinced me, like, I wasn't cut out for this bodybuilding thing. I'm like, I can't eat that much. I don't like to fucking eat that much. Like, and I eat that much, and I just get a little roly-poly. Yeah. You want to know why? Because I was fucking overdoing it. I was overdoing it. I wasn't doing this simple routine where I did 1 set. I've never done 1 set of something in my life. Granted, I came back to the gym a few years ago, and I had a much more spiritual perspective on the gym, and based on so many of my understandings of the spiritual nature of the universe and the mental nature of the universe, I understood that, you know, like, what made the most sense to me was probably the best thing in a lot of ways, and there were certain ways in which I was looking at these things. You know, I've been prone to injuries, and like doing the exercises kind of wrong or not focused, you know, so I did get to like doing like 2 sets of very focused things and trying to make them good. But 1 set to end them all, 1 set to rule them all, to take it all out, that's the way. That's the way, you know. And he talks about, you know, people like adjusting his method and from his method, and, you know, people are of course going to do that. But I see method in this madness here, big time. And there are so many real Mr. Olympias and shit that have used this method. Mike Mentzer, you know, when they said to him, how do you do this? You know, how often do you go to the gym? And Mike says, well, I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I work out for about an hour. 3 times. I work out for about 3 hours a week. Go talk to fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go talk to The Rock. Go talk to these people. All they do is work out. Granted, they're on steroids. Okay? No buts about it, guys. Those guys are on steroids. The Rock's on steroids. They're on steroids. And Mike Mentzer was on steroids, I'm sure. You know, they're bodybuilders. This is like a next level thing. But there are like, you know, there's 2 tiers. There's the what you can do on steroids, and there's natural bodybuilders who can be fucking big. You know, I mean, they don't quite look like the fucking steroid-induced guys, but you can get plenty of muscle on your body without even having to do that. And there's a lot of other different types of supplements, whether it's testosterone and things like that, that can be very helpful to you as a bodybuilder, and help to supplement, you know, what you're doing. You know, when it comes to supplements like that, I don't really know that world, but, you know, I mean, a little bit. But, you know, not enough to give advice to anybody. But what I'm saying here is, this is within your power. You've got 3 hours a week. Mike Mentzer is a Mr. Olympia. I mean, a Mr. whatever, the universe, whatever the fuck it is. There's so many different titles of these things. I dyslexia them. I switch the names around because it's not important. But he won. He won the bodybuilding competition working out 3 hours a week. And the other people who are bodybuilding next to him are like, bullshit! No fucking way! I work out this much. I work out this much. Do you do this exercise? Do you do this exercise? No, I don't do those ones. Why don't you do those ones? Because I have a focused approach that trains my entire body. Wow. I mean, guys, like, I don't know. I hope, I know I'm like talking to my geek friends, and I know this isn't necessarily like the conversation that we have, but like, I feel like we don't have this conversation because like you never have it like this. You never have like simple facts, simple things that I can hold on to and I could change about my life and about the way I'm fucking doing these things and approaching these things to really get the change I want. Like, guys, I know this time next year, I'm going to look like fucking He-Man. Because, one, I believe. So, I mean, really, I'm convinced. I'm convinced of his fucking method. He is so freaking savvy, this guy. And the tools are here in his book and on YouTube and all these places where you can find them. I'm so grateful that an intellectual approach was given to bodybuilding, because I never see any fucking intellectual approach like this to people who actually have a practical fucking... Look at Mike Mentzer. Go look up some pictures of Mike Mentzer. And then tell me that this advice doesn't sound that much better coming from him. You only work out 3 hours a week. You eventually got to the point where you weren't even quite working out 3 hours a week, because you were working out once every 4 days, and then, or once every 6-7 days once you're fucking, so he's working out a little more than 1 hour a week. And he's Mr. fucking, I mean, the last time he competed in the Mr. Olympia or Mr. Universe, whatever it was, when Arnold Schwarzenegger came down, and you probably heard this story, it was a classic tale of Arnold using his power and influence to fucking manipulate the system of bodybuilding and win a bodybuilding competition after years of him being out of shape and not training. He trained for like a month or two and showed up to this thing. He did not hold a candle to the other bodybuilders there at the time, including Mike Mentzer, who was at a peak, the likes of which he had never achieved before. And they robbed Mike and robbed these other bodybuilders of their proper, acknowledgement of who was fucking Mr. Olympia or Mr. whatever at the time, and they gave it to Arnold, who did not deserve it. It was a real, sticking point for things at the time. But Mike is no joke. He's no joke. And he's sitting here talking sense about how much you can really hope to gain a day. Just think about that. If I can't gain more than a few pounds, ounces, whatever it is, at a moment, well, of course it doesn't matter if I eat 5 pounds of fucking beef or if I eat 1 pound of beef. My body can only absorb so much of the fucking beef. I get this this is like one of the spiritual approaches that I went with when I went into bodybuilding myself, just like trying to kind of figure out my own way. And I was like that less is more kind of thing of, I'd rather have a little bit of that vitamin and a little bit of that vitamin and a little bit of that and a little bit of that, so that my body gets the nutrients there and the nutrients there and the nutrients there, because I know that it can only absorb so much of these things anyway. But if I give it a whole bunch of different options for some different nutrients, well, then maybe the nutrients that it needs that isn't in this, it can get out of this, and it can get out of this. And then I will absorb the most that I can by eating a few different things. Eating a singular thing just in some like crazy volume, your body can only absorb so much of that shit. It's not like, man, I ate 20 pounds of spaghetti and now I'm 20 pounds heavier. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. So if it doesn't happen like that, then yeah, shouldn't we be thinking about this a little bit more subtly? And isn't that just thinking about, if you think about this world through a hermetic standpoint, right? The world is mental. So if mentally you simply make a choice to eat a little bit more than you have been eating, well, mentally you've done all the work for your growth, because you've changed your mind to think that I have increased, whether it's slight or not, but I have increased the amount of food I'm consuming. So I am in a state of growth because I've made a small change to consistently increase this thing. So if I'm consistently increasing how much I'm absorbing food-wise, just on a small level, mentally, you did the whole thing, because the mental part is the biggest part. You believe that you've made an increase, and you believe that there's an association between your increase and you increasing muscles. So this is all mental gymnastics, the right mental gymnastics, putting your mind on what you're doing, showing up every day thinking about the same thing, thinking about the right things, getting in the right state of mind. Just his method right there alone, boy, does that put you in the right state of mind. It does for me. I I so hope that so many of you people out there are like hearing this. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm so glad that Jesse did this, because like, it would make me so happy. It would make me so happy if that's the case. Because this helped me. This helped me get my mind right, and I feel so good. I feel so good about working out. I feel like I can do it. And I haven't had that thought. I haven't had that opinion for most of my life. There's so many different ideas about it. And so it just kind of confused me and like intimidated me in a lot of ways. And even though I kept showing up and trying, and I'd get hurt and I didn't get the results I wanted, and man, this book's changed my life. I hope that it changes other people's lives. And you know why I did the show even? Because I was kind of telling like a friend or two about like what I was doing, and I realized that I didn't want to tell them what I was doing because I knew it was going to work. And I wanted to just show them my results. And I also didn't want them to get there first. I didn't want them to do it. It was like, I found this. I want to do it. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling. You know, I tell you, I being honorable is very important to me. And when I had that thought, I was like, oh, that's lame. I'm like trying to like hoard the information away. I don't want people to have this information because like I'm like, oh, like I value the information so much. I'm like, it's mine. It's my information. But no, I changed that vibe pretty much immediately, and told my people about the thing, and I've sent the PDF around already to at least 3 or 4 friends of mine, who when I was talking to them and giving them this thing, they went, "Can you send that to me? I've been really kind of frustrated. Can you mind? Am I sharing that with me?" So I don't know. It just felt right. It felt right. I feel like Mike Mentzer is the geek of bodybuilding. Like it's like they sent one of us into the bodybuilding community, and he went, "You guys are idiots. None of this shit makes any sense. Like, what's the fucking point? Like how do you gain muscle? Like, nobody has like a definitive answer. Everybody's just kind of like a lot of shots in the dark. All right, well, I got a brain and I got a pen, and I'm gonna go fucking sit here and I'm gonna just make notes and figure shit out until I figured shit out." And he did. He figured shit out. He figured shit out for us. He died so young too. I think he died at 49. Such an intelligent dude. I love hearing him talk, and like on the YouTubes and seeing some of his things talk, I kind of have like a little bit of like an impression of him in my mind that I hear whenever I'm reading his things. But I'm going to skip through various bits of this PDF and like, you know, kind of use it as a reminder to just kind of talk about a couple things. But this piece right here, to me, gets to the heart of why he is the geek culture bodybuilder. He is the geek bodybuilder, and he's not the dunderheaded jock bodybuilder. Right? Jesse, I'm a jock, but I'm a jock because it's just, you can't define me. You can't put me in a box. You know, I don't think like a jock. I'm an intellectual. I love fantasy and science fiction because there's something for me to think about and intellectualize, and you know, that makes me happy. So the standard just, you know, like bang, bang, bang. Like that's not enough for me. Not enough for me, just aggression. You know, it's just like I do appreciate aggression. I do appreciate athleticism and sportsmanship and things like that. And I certainly am a person who has a lot of energy and a lot of aggression inside me. But it needs to be, you know, nuanced. And there's a lot more to this life. There's a lot more to the way I think. So to me, the average bodybuilder's approach has never really fucking spoken to me in a huge level, and to a large degree I would say I've been kind of faking it, trying to be like them, even though I didn't really feel like I was like them. So, and why doesn't their method work for me? Because I'm not like them, and I don't really believe in it, and I think differently and so many different things. And you know, because if you believe like these people believe, you can get some of these results. And like this is the part that I want to share with you, because it just kind of hit on the head of like what the difference between this motherfucker is and all these other people who are coming up with the wrong answer. I think it's like chapter 2 of the book is a rational approach. And the opening chapter says, "The enormous passion and single-track devotion exhibited by those seeking to develop stronger, more muscular bodies is often their most salient characteristic." All right. Did you hear that? Do I have to repeat it again? These guys, these dunderheads with the enormous passion and single-track devotion. I don't have an enormous passion and single track devotion for going to the fucking gym, running in a circle, lifting weights. Like, who fucking gives a shit? Like, you know, like to me, it's like, it's one thing. I'd love to look like Superman, and I'd love to look like you know, Batman or He-Man or whatever. But like, intellectually, the idea of just lifting up a weight and moving it from point A to point B is just like the stupidest fucking thing I can conceive of. I'm like, so you want me to go over there and you want me to move that from here to here? Yep. Why? For exercise. Why? Like, and I mean, I get, oh, okay, well, we can build our muscles and we can look, oh, well, that's nice. I would like to look nice and build my muscles. But it does seem like a pretty useless thing. Isn't there anything else I could do? Is it possible if somebody has like a very heavy cup that they need moved from left to right every few seconds? Maybe I could go over there and move their heavy cup for every, you know, and I could be of service. I could be useful, not just lifting a weight and it's nothing. Like all of this energy, all this exertion, all just for me to get this shit together. I guess what I'm saying is that if there was like a more practical application for lifting weights, like that it could be useful on some level, that I might be more into it. Yeah, you know, I'm not necessarily that guy. But when you look at these, you know, most of these bodybuilders, the people that athleticism or whatever comes naturally to them, you know, often it is this, you know, enormous sort of like passion, you know, like for athletics and, you know, a single track devotion, you know, people who are really like dedicated to just sort of like throwing their willpower into the situation. And you know, he goes on to say, passion by itself, however, is just that, an intense desire to achieve a value goal. Alone, it's nothing more than blind emotion, which will serve only to mire the individual in a gray fog of helpless confusion. And that's why I think most of us don't really appreciate, you know, bodybuilding and working out athletics, because it seems a bit slapdash, you know, seems like they're mired in a gray fog of helpless confusion, you know, and certain ones of them are coming out the other side all big and beefy and whatnot. But generally, it seems to be the ones who are genetically predisposed to it. And then there's, you know, the other group of people who struggle a lot more to get the results. And of course, you know, genetically speaking, depending on what you're working with, you might struggle a little bit more to get the results from the Mike Mentzer program as well. But I promise you, the baseline shit that is working here, and read it yourself. You know, I'm like I said, I found this on the internet for free. The heavy duty. I got a PDF of the book and I read it. You can order it on Amazon. There's plenty of different places where you can get it. You can go on YouTube and see different versions of this thing. It is just rock solid as an intellectual look at working out and trying to achieve something. And I mean, I think those Charles Atlas ads in the back of comics that have existed for years and years, get the body of your dreams, the Charles Atlas, you know, it proves if they kept putting those ads in there, that meant they were selling that to some of these people. A lot of people who were picking up these superhero comics and looking at these arts of these beautiful bodied people, they were interested in having a beautiful body themselves. I've always been interested in having a nice, beautiful body. But even like big and strong and here, man. I don't. It sounds kind of silly, but yeah, why not? Why can't I look like Batman? Why can't I look like Superman? That'd be cool. I want to look like Hercules. You know, if it was possible, you know, and I was putting some effort into it. I know a lot of people have gotten way more frustrated than I am and never even bothered to try. But I've never felt more like I could do it and it was possible than when looking at the Mike Mentzer method. And I've never felt more like, oh, wow, not only is it possible for me, it's possible for anyone. And it's basically because I feel like it's possible for anyone, having read his thing, that I feel like it's possible for me. Because if it's possible for anyone, well, I'm anyone. You're anyone. And I mean, and honestly, that's why I'm like bringing it here, because it does seem, I guess that thing, like, you know, the Charles Atlas ads in the back of the comic books, you know, suggests that there is like a fundamental part of geek, you know, a lot of people in geek culture that are looking for something to look up to and maybe hope to be that thing themselves. You know, for me, the biggest part of it was morally being that. You know, I don't mean like morally, like wagging my fucking finger at people, you know, because I really believe morality is, at the end of the day, just how you do unto others as, you know, you would have them do unto you. which is just about, being understanding and having empathy and giving space for people. So, like that's very important to me, to be Superman on an intellectual level, to not, to always find a better way, not just kill the person, like let's not just punch this guy in the face. Let's not just be mean or rude. Let's find a better way through communication or whatever it might be. That is my fundamental nature. And I'm sure that so many of you, especially so many of you guys who like to listen to me, I know, because especially now I've heard from a lot of you guys, I know that you're similar, you're Care Bears, you're sweet people. You're sweet people who want the world to be a better place. And that's why you like me, because you can tell, that's what I want. Just want everybody to get along. Things to be nice. It's like, what a waste all this shittiness is, So we can do this. We could do this. We can have the bodies of our dreams. This time next year, I'm going to look like He-Man or Superman. And if I don't, you motherfuckers call me out on it and force me to freaking get back to the gym and whatever. But like, I'm not going away. I'm not doing this. I already got some great results after a week. I can't even freaking believe, or 2 weeks rather, for the results that I got. I'm on my 3rd week now, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to keep doing my yoga and my qigong and all these things that I'm doing to help my health and my spiritual health and my mind, and meditating. And these things are really good for me. And these are things that I always wanted to do regularly. And I just was like, like I don't want to start this routine, or I'm not ready to start this routine, or I'm not comfortable to start the routine, or whatever it might be. They're always just like something getting in the way. And then I just did it. And like, I'm so fucking happy. You know what I'm doing on top of that as well? I decided I wanted to read like a little bit of a book, at least like 5 pages of book every day. And I was thinking that it was going to be like some self-help book or something. And I was kind of like, well, I'll force myself to read a self-help book. But then I decided, I opened up my iBooks on my phone, and I have The Lord of the Rings in there. And I used to have a 30-pound, it wasn't 30 pounds, it was like 10, 15-pound book, a collected volume of The Lord of the Rings. And it was so heavy that I hated taking it with me. When I would travel, it was so fucking heavy, it would hurt my back. And literally, like, my neck would be hurting from like the backpack pulling on me, because I have a 10-pound weight in my back. So I stopped bringing it with me everywhere I went. And I started reading the book like 5 times, and I never got any further in it because of the size of the book. And then I eventually sold that book. But I have a very light copy of Lord of the Rings, and I started reading Lord of the Rings. And I'm on chapter 4. I finished last night. And so I love The Hobbit. I'm a big Hobbit fan. So I always wanted to read The Lord of the Rings, because I've read The Hobbit multiple times. I was already a J.R.R. Tolkien fan, and really was excited to read The Lord of the Rings. And then just never happened, man, because of the damn book. But now I am. There's so many things that I wanted to do, and it was just like, oh, maybe eventually and shit like that. It's like, no, do it now. Do it now. Whatever it is that you want to do that you think would make your life better, do it now. If none of this stuff sounds great to you, but like you have been wanting to go back to the gym, well, do that. And do it now. I happen to think that this is really some brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. And I think if you read Mike Mentzer's book and just, get to hear him talk a little bit and see where he was coming from and the way he was thinking about things, that it will change your mind, and you will want to do it the Mike Mentzer way, the heavy duty training way, because it's fucking incredible. But let me just wrap up this little piece here. So he says, this is the chapter, Rational Approach. He says, the basis of a rational approach to bodybuilding or any other arena of endeavor is the recognition that only the appropriate specific knowledge can lead one to engage in the purposeful action required to successfully achieve a goal. The reason that, and this is a terrible example. Anyway, the rational bodybuilder understands that once he has established a goal, it is crucial he successfully achieves it, as the implications to his self-esteem, confidence, and happiness are profound. Not only does he want to avoid failure, but being conscientious, he also earnestly seeks the most productive or time-saving method to achieve his goal. Yes. Who wants to fucking go to the gym and be uselessly moving all of these fucking weights around from here to here? Like I said, it's like if there was some way to make this somehow useful, if like me moving the weights around was connected to some like electric generator, and like they were getting electricity that there was powering buildings because I was working out, it'd make me feel a little better. So I want the most productive, time-saving method, because on one level, I just want the perfect body. I don't necessarily want to have to achieve the perfect body. I just like to feel strong and look those ways, and seeing those things and feeling like I don't have them is sort of bothersome. And so it's nice to be able to get after that thing in a reasonable, rational way. And as we basically see here, there's a metered approach to working out that can give you wonderful, important, compelling results and not leave you feeling as though you're completely spent and I don't have time to go to the gym. And like I was seeing there's a comedian I like named Pete Holmes. He's on I follow him on Instagram. And he'll post a lot of things sometimes, and he's some funny stuff. But occasionally he'll say something that I don't necessarily agree with, or whatever, or just intellectually I don't agree with. And he was talking about the gym, going to the gym, like that. It was clear that this person was going to the gym all the time. Clearly, you go to the gym, you wake up, you go to the gym. He's like, this is I don't want my life to be like all about the fucking gym, and that's no. My life isn't all about the gym. Now I'm on the Mike Mentzer program. My life's not all about the gym. I go to the gym for an hour, 3 days a week, and at the time I'm there, I'm highly focused, and I get some shit done, and then I go home and get back to everything else. Like this notion that the gym and being athletic is for some people but not for me, I don't think that's true. I think that we're all sort of overwhelmed by some of the people who it comes naturally to. It seems so easy for them that it's kind of stifling and frustrating for us. When you go into a panic, usually you overdo the thing or you completely underdo the thing. So you either go, I'm never going to do that again, or you go, I'm going to try so hard. And trying too hard tends not to be the fucking answer. It's always about making an effort, but not making an extra effort, because extra effort implies that your effort isn't enough, but your effort is enough. Balance effort, just putting the right energy into the thing. And that is so much of what you're going to get here, a rational bodybuilder, not a dunderhead smacking weights. He's going, hey man, 2 + 2 is 4, and I can crack this bodybuilding thing. I know how to maximize growth. And some of the things that are important to sort of understand when you are doing this stuff. Everything I'm talking about here this is strength training. This is about getting big. Getting big muscles, getting big strength. If that's what you're trying to do, you have to. Here, I got a good spot in the book that I can share. He says, what bodybuilders should be training to develop specifically is their strength, right? A properly conducted bodybuilding program is directed exclusively towards the development of strength. Why? Because muscular size and strength are related. It was discovered by scientists a long time ago that the strength of a muscle is directly proportional to its cross-sectional area. This, along with the fact that the body's adaptive capacity is strictly limited, dictates that an efficient, productive bodybuilder program be geared exclusively and specifically towards the development of strength. So if you desire mixed or no results, combine strength training with endurance training, which is what most people are doing. If your goal is to develop your muscles to the largest possible degree in the shortest possible time, then train. And the thing is, the more you think that you have a deficiency in terms of that strength, the more you add in the endurance thing, because you think you need even more. I'm the little dog, so I need twice as many workouts and 3 times as many workouts. I need to do, you're going to overwhelm yourself. This is not the right thing. He talks about it very plainly, that when you look at swimmers' bodies and distance runners and stuff, these guys are doing endurance, and they're not big and bulky and super strong. And what where do those people come from who are big and bulky and super strong? Well, when you think about it, actually, it tends to come from a lot of the trade businesses, where somebody has to get in and pull something out of the ground real quick. A one major, I gotta go in there and pick up this thing this one time, and then it'll be healed. I'm not gonna have to do this again, but oh man, this was really fucking heavy. And then look at these guys, and they got the calves, and they're going down and lifting fucking blocks of wood and stuff. And granted, you know, some people are just like kind of constructed this way to some degree, but a lot of it you can see as you look at like how the bodybuilding happens. You can go, oh wow, well that could happen naturally. In some cases, you know, naturally because of the life that this person's lead, they're going to develop a little bit more of a swimmer's body or a little bit more of a distance runner's body. And then this person naturally is going to develop more of a stocky body because of some of the practices that they were involved in. The point is, it's very clean cut and clear. Like you know, he points out so many different little things that demonstrate a certain something. You know, it's like if you're looking to be a big burly guy and you look at the distance runners and you see that they are not big and burly, what does that say to you? It says these guys who are training their endurance the most generally are losing a lot of their bulk. So if I want to be a bulky guy, I have to focus. I don't have to do all of this fucking running around the gym and 80 million exercises and all this stuff. I have to focus on my strength. And with all of these exercises, you're going to basically be doing, you know, you do like a little warm-up reps that they have you do. There's a lot of little specialty bits. You know, if you read the book, he's got whole sections on details of just, you know, how to do your reps and count them. Before I do my stuff, I actually go on YouTube and I pull up various things of him training with different people so I can see how they're doing the stuff. And I can try to emulate, you know, just the grips that they have, how close this is, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm doing it just so I can lock it into my own mind and get myself, you know, training like that on my own, just knowing specifically that I'm doing it the Mike Mentzer way, because I mean that's the way you got to go. So this dude is just so fucking smart. You know, and just a quick little bit too. You know, there's a great quote. He says, you know, many bodybuilders evaluate their success on their efforts by the wrong standard, by whether or not they are gaining body weight on a regular, even daily basis. This is a mistake, as muscle mass increases, even at best, are negligible on a daily or even weekly basis. An increase of 30 pounds of muscle in a year, more than the average bodybuilder can expect to gain, would average out to slightly more than an ounce a day. Certainly not enough to register daily or weekly on the standard body weight scale, right? So a 10 to 20 pound increase in muscle mass in 1 year is more realistic for most. He says, you know, this may sound impressive to many, but if a bodybuilder were to sustain a growth rate of 20 pounds per year for 2 years, he would, of course, considering he didn't lose any body fat, end up 40 pounds heavier. Visualize 40 pounds of beefsteak later. Okay, I read this earlier. Yeah. Sorry, these are the pieces that I wanted to read, but I don't want to repeat myself. So you make a 16 calorie increase to your diet. You can do the program that's in book 1, which is 3 days a week, which is what I've been doing. But I might recommend to slightly more novice, like if you haven't really trained much in your life, just do the 4 program, the 4 days, every 4 days. There's online, the different 4 programs, you can find them. I think it's like the follow-up book to the heavy duty, like the heavy duty 2 or something like that, is the one that has that program in it, which is even less frequent. But I mean, you're going to start off every 4 days. You go to the gym for an hour. It's no big deal. You're going to really, you know, you're going to bust ass in that 1 hour. And, you know, you're going to be taking yourself to just the absolute edge of wherever you can go in terms of, you know, this one set that you're going to do of these things. But these exercises, there's reasons why you're not doing a million different other exercises that you've seen happen. These are some very specific exercises that have been chosen because of the way they stimulate the entire body's muscle growth and how you do them. Very specific, you know, like how your hands are put, you know, if it's an undergrip or an overgrip, you know, how wide your hands are. Like all of these things change the torque and the, you know, the leverage that's being put on your body and on your muscles and on your bones. So that's why, you know, I go and I watch the YouTube videos where I see Mike do it, because he understands, you know, him and his Nautilus buddy, and like they are looking at these things very scientifically of where does the hand line up with this? How do we keep the pressure on this muscle the longest? Well, if we bend it like this, eventually it gets to a point where there's like a little bit of a release of tension here. We don't want that. So we want to go a little wider so that we keep that tension going the whole time. So very conscientious. You know, this book is super easy to read. I hate fucking reading about exercise and bodybuilding, and I was just blown away because just everything that he's saying in here was just constantly talking sense and looking at things in a really practical way that seems so obvious as he was pointing them out, but I never really thought of it, you know, so much that way. So, later in the Science of Bodybuilding, in the third thing, he said, when you consider that the dominant intellectual approach to the growing number of self-styled experts in the bodybuilding field is characterized by approximation, contradiction, equivocation, and evasion, it's little wonder that an entire generation of bodybuilders, many of the top champs included, find itself bewildered and without rational guidance. And he said, he used to read the bodybuilding magazines all the time. And at the end of the day, there's so many snake oil salesmen, and there's so many people with their own personal whatever, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger has insane genetics. So he can overtrain and he'll be fine. And there's a bunch of the people who succeed largely in bodybuilding are the ones who are capable of kind of overtraining and succeeding that way. But even the people who are capable of overtraining tend to do better from the perspective of Mr. Mike Mentzer, with a less is more approach, with getting what you need, bringing yourself to the fullest extent of your exhaustion of these muscles, and then giving yourself proper time to relax and build these muscles. So, intensity is very important. And the economy of growth and recovery, of having the space to heal. I'm only having a day between that next muscle group that I do, but technically speaking, that muscle group I've got the whole week, because I'm not coming around until Monday to do that muscle group again, even though I'm tiring my body out 2 days later in a different area. But this economy, when you're doing the 4 days, like, that's really, like I really believe in that. And right now, for my mental health, going to the gym a little bit more is good for me. But I think the 4-day approach and having that, that the like he says, the economics of growth and recovery, the growth and recovery, like, they're two peas in a pod. Dorian Yates. I'm just going through the PDF real quick and just trying to remind myself of anything else that I want to share with you guys before we go. I can't believe I actually talked about this as long as I did. I was like feeling like shy about it, and like I don't know if my audience is gonna give a shit about this, but I really do, and I really just think it's so cool. I feel like I'm giving you guys such a gift, and I hope that anybody's out there hearing this and feeling like I did, because that made me so happy. So ideal principled routine. Okay, so in his PDF, he's got his principled routine here. I went through a little bit of that earlier, of like different stuff. There's a lot of breakdowns of proper exercise performance, like I was talking about, how your hands are, everything, training to failure, the proper weight selection so that you can get that bandwidth of 6 to 10 reps. You're always trying to get into 6 to 10 for the most part. There's a couple of the exercises that go a little bit different than that, but yeah, and then doing a pre-stretch and a little workout, just like a warm-up set. It's not really like a workout, exhaustive or anything. And getting the best from your negative reps. When you're going down, you're lowering the things down. If you watch any of the YouTube clips with Mike Mentzer, all of these things, he will discuss in 30 seconds of you seeing him. They're okay, nice and slow again. 1, 2, 3. And these people were doing some perfect form work. The last thing I'll say is, equipment. There are very specific things that you want to try to do. You want to try to do them as accurately to them as you can. But I'm at what is it called? The purple place, Planet Fitness. And Planet Fitness, they don't have all of the things that I need. They don't have like a pullover machine, but you can go online and you can find similar things, similar exercises that you can do, and just try to apply the knowledge that Mike gives you on how to do these things as discriminately as possible. Just really get it right and be on the money. I mean, it's like, if you're doing one set, you better do that set right. And how cool is that, right? When we can focus ourselves down to thinking just in terms of, all right, I got one set. This one set is going to be the best I could do of this one set. It's just one set, and I got to do this. It just, for me, it just seems so overcomable. You sit there and you exhaust yourself, and you exhaust yourself, and you exhaust. I don't know if you got any people out there who used to do CrossFit or have ever tried CrossFit. I had a personal trainer at a place called Steel Fitness, which was similar to CrossFit kind of attitude. And I mean, it was just high intensity training plus just crazy endurance training. And it's like, and what's going to happen? You're never going to freaking grow because you're exhausting the possibility of doing that. And and Mike talks about losing weight and various different little parts too to this part of, you know, bodybuilding. You know, I'm somebody who's just like coming from being a string bean for a little while, and I'm growing up. But there is plenty of information about you know, dietary things and getting yourself into the right place to transform your body. You know, whatever body you're working with right now, there are ways to fucking transform it. And this is just, for me, it's just the most fucking absolutely on the money. You know, clearly this guy has fucking thought it through, and just I love it, you know. And he talks about individual potential in the book. He talks about the role of genetics, and genetics are very real, and it's why you can't, you know, really base other people's results on, you know, like what your results are going to be. You know, he even talks a little bit about motivation in here, and, you know, the role of values, and just, you know, kind of just motivational techniques and getting yourself, you know, to really scrape the bottom of the barrel and go to that place where you can't lift anymore, and you really gave it all, you put it all online, because that's that moment. And this, you know, has been like studied basically, that the most growth is basically coming from the last final moments of your complete exhaustion. It's in that moment where you have exhausted yourself down to nothing that your body grows. And a lot of people just kind of skirt that area, and maybe they'll grow a little bit, they'll like scratch the surface. But if you can really go into that place and not overtrain the muscles, the muscle is going to come back more powerful, so that that's not possible to do to it again what you did to it last time. And the body is very savvy like that. If you just keep showing up and applying this, you know, it's like you show up and you stretch your arm tomorrow and you stretch your arm there. I promise you, a week from now, your arm's going to be longer. How far you can reach it's going to be longer. It's just how it goes. Just keep showing up and doing the thing. Commit to it. I know there's so many people out there like me who've always wanted to feel like they could. And Mike Mentzer, thank you, man. You made me feel like I could. I feel like I owe you for the rest of my life, that I feel like I can do this because of you. So thank you, Mike. You died too young. Thank you for your book. Thank you for leaving this behind. Thank you for all of the bodybuilders who see the merit in the Mike Mentzer approach and sharing it on YouTube and sharing it into the world, so people like me could find it and want to fucking sequester it away and not show my friends, because I want the secret magic of bodybuilding first. But, you know, this is so cool. You know, I'll never do another episode like this of Coolest Geek Alive ever again. You know, this is so weird. I didn't think I would ever do this, but it just really made sense to me to tell you guys about the Mike Mentzer training method, because I felt like I met a geek who was athletic, and like he spoke my language, and he really taught me something in a short period of time, made me feel like I could do it. And I believe in you guys. I believe you could do it. And I just want to pass this on. There's just so many wonderful people in our community, and the community of people who love science fiction and love fantasy and love comic books and love this shit like I do. And we should be powerful. We should look powerful. Our insides and our outsides should match. You guys are powerful, powerfully good people. Now go out there and transform your bodies into equally powerful vessels of your amazing lights. I love you all. Thank you for listening to the show. Every Monday night, if you like music like I do a music show. I just did Little Richard. I cried my eyes out because I was really sad for a lot of different reasons, and cried talking about him. I love Little Richard, and I went through his career and stuff. I was going to try to fake it, but I just needed to be authentic, so I had a real good cry on Little Richard the other day. Did Kid Rock the week before that. Really, a ton of bands in the thing. I mean, just like so many bands, and you can probably tell if we have any similarities in taste at all, and maybe there's some bands there that you've wanted to check out, and now's your chance. And I lead you through their catalogs and all the best stuff for you to check out, all the singles that you should listen to. And it's it's a passion project for me. I just love gushing about some of the best songwriters who've ever lived, some of the best bands and musicians who have ever lived. It's really fun. So please join me every Monday night for All Your Favorite Bands Suck. And, that's it, Coolest Geeks, for another episode of the Coolest Geek Alive. I'm your passionate geek culture commentator, Jesse Blaze Snider. You can write to me at jesseblaze@jessesnider.com. I love you all so much, and I look forward to hearing from you. I have my Fucking for Our Future comic book up on Kickstarter. It's not live yet, but it's going to be going live in like the next week or two. And if you want to have access to the early boob special, you'll probably want to sign up for notifications. So if you go to Kickstarter and you type in Fucking for Our Future, that's my comedy booby book. It's really subversive and fun and cool, and I think everybody who takes the time to check it out will be very glad that they did. Anyway, I hope you'll join me again next Wednesday and this coming Saturday for my 100th episode of Coolest Geek Alive. Please join me. I will see you then as we celebrate the coolest geeks who have ever lived. Goodbye. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I'll play that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's going to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. Hooray!